So let's talk about code, but I want us to reframe how we think about it. For a few minutes, let's just forget about engineering and complex systems. Instead, I want you to imagine code as a truly creative medium. Like a chisel, a paintbrush, or a pen. A tool for forging entirely new stories. And think about this for a second. The software you use every single day, are its menus, its filters, its presets, are they actually helping you create? Or are they kind of, boxing you in, quietly deciding what's possible before you even start? Okay, so let's dive into this idea. A scholar named Nick Montfort has this perfect term for these tools, the black box. We know what we put in, and we know what comes out. But that process, the magic that happens inside, it's completely hidden from us. And that's the problem. When we don't understand our tools, we actually limit our own creative power. We end up being consumers, not really creators. So how do we break out of that box? Well, Montfort suggests we need to start seeing programming less as engineering and more as inquiry. Think of it not like building a bridge with a fixed blueprint, but more like sketching in a notebook. It's a way to explore, to ask questions, and to test out some really wild ideas. And this really gets to the heart of it. On the left, you've got the traditional engineering mindset. It's all about building a final, fixed product. But on the right, that's where the magic is for artists. It's all about exploration. The process is the goal. For an artist, this changes everything. Code stops being just a production tool and starts being a medium for thinking. It's a way to find your path by walking it. All right, let's make this feel a little more real. We're going to take one simple sentence from a made-up myth, and we're going to see how code can treat it not as some sacred, unchangeable story, but as raw, moldable clay that we can totally reshape. Okay, so here's our myth. This sentence carries a lot of weight, right? It's got history, a clear power dynamic. To us, it's a whole narrative. But to a computer, it's something way, way simpler.
Yeah, to a computer, that powerful myth is just a string. That's it, a sequence of characters. It has no meaning, no authority, nothing. It's just data. And the beautiful thing about data is that it can be measured, counted, and, most importantly, manipulated.
And here we go, our first real active intervention. It's called slicing. Look at that tiny piece of code. With that, we're not asking for permission. We are giving the computer a direct, blunt command. Hey, give me the characters from the very beginning, position 0, all the way up to position 9. And boom, just like that. With a simple command, we've surgically carved out the center of power from that original sentence. Now, this isn't just some technical party trick. This is our first real step toward taking that story apart and gaining control over it.
Okay, so let's build on that. Once we realize we can break text apart, we suddenly have this incredible power to put it back together in completely new ways. We can disrupt the author's original meaning and start writing our own stories.
Here's how we can do it. 3 simple steps. First, we command the computer to split the sentence into a list of individual words. Just shatter the original grammar. Then, step 2, we apply a completely different logic. We sort the words alphabetically. And finally, step 3, we join them back together and see what kind of weird, new meaning we just created. Now, the really cool part is that this doesn't just work for sentences. Montfort uses this as a metaphor for the bigger scripts that society hands us. On the left, you see a pretty standard life path. But the thing is, because these scripts are just lists of data, we actually have the power to rewrite them. We can choose a different order, a different story for ourselves. But what if we want to go even deeper? What if, beyond just changing the text, we could use code to find hidden patterns, the kind of deep structures that are totally invisible to the naked eye? This is where a tool called regular expression comes in. And trust me, it's like a superpower. Instead of just searching for one specific word like king, you can write a pattern that finds, say, every word that describes power, or every single piece of dialogue spoken by a certain character. You're not looking for bricks anymore. You're looking for the building's architecture. And this lets us analyze things on a totally impossible scale. I mean, imagine you want to study only what characters say in a massive novel. With one simple pattern, you can pull out every single line of dialogue from a 500-page book instantly. You can start to analyze the voice of an entire culture, not just one sentence. Okay, let's switch gears. We're going to jump from the one-dimensional line of text into the two-dimensional world of images. Because to a computer, a photograph isn't a picture, it's a mathematical grid. It's basically a spreadsheet full of color data. Every single color you see on your screen can be boiled down to just 3 numbers. They represent its red, green, and blue values. So this specific set of numbers you see here, this tuple, it corresponds to this exact shade of rose. It's not magic, it's just math. Art literally becomes data. And this is the perfect way to demystify all those fancy filters. You know the blur filter in Photoshop? It's not some secret in a black box. It's just a simple little program following these exact steps, over and over. It looks at a pixel, checks out its 8 neighbors, calculates their average color, and then just nudges the original pixel a little closer to that average. That's it. And once you understand that logic, you can start inventing your own filters. And that brings us to the most important point of all. When you understand these basic building blocks of text, of images, of simple logic, you make a huge leap. You go from being a passive user to being a sovereign creator. Montfort makes such a powerful case here. If we only use tools that are locked down, tools we can't open up, study, or change, then we're basically stuck creating art that fits inside a safe commercial box. Real, true creative freedom, well, that requires tools that are themselves free. So let's just recap the new powers you get with this mindset. You can deconstruct the old myths you've been handed. You can reveal the hidden structures that shape our world. You can build the exact tools that you need for your unique vision. And maybe most importantly, you can tell the kinds of stories that off-the-shelf black box software would never even allow. Ultimately, this whole thing isn't just about learning to code. It's about learning to see the world as this incredible system of stories and data. A system that you have the power to read, to rewrite, and to reinvent. So really, the only question left is, what new worlds are you going to code into existence?